community meeting about Tehaleh. We have an action-packed 30 minutes here for you. You're going to get some really interesting information. The intention of this meeting is really to be able to share pertinent information about what's going on in the community. So with us, we have several people. David, I'll go ahead and let you introduce yourself, and so that way people know who they're talking with.
Well, my name is David Sturm. I'm a resident here in Tehaleh, and I'm a real estate agent, but a resident first. So we really appreciate being a part of this community. We were excited to move here last year, and we've been settling in ever since with our landscaping and getting our house ready and kind of just hunkering down during COVID and get a lot done. But we're excited to be a part of this and offer this to our neighbors here in this community about what's really going on in the market these days, because there's so much misinformation or confusion on what's going on. So, yeah,
for sure. Good. Nice to have you aboard, David. That's awesome. Keith, what about you?
Oh, sorry, I had to turn my mic on. Yes, I am a mortgage loan officer, Elevation Home Loans. I've been working with David and Karen over the past about year, and also with Best Choice Realties, and just on here to offer any viewpoint from the mortgage side. If you have any questions or whatnot, and I've been in the industry for several years and have worked just about every scenario. So just here to provide some support in that area.
All right, Karen.
Hi, I'm Karen Marshall, and I'm also a real estate agent here in Tehaleh. I'm David's partner, and we love this community. Like he said, I can't say enough about it. When we found it, were living in King County at the time, and I was like, this is like the only place I want to move to, because we were moving after my daughter graduated. So I'm just thrilled to be here.
Yeah, great community for sure. And my name is Jody McNamer. I actually was born and raised in that area. In fact, we, as kids, used to ride our motorcycles right over where actually Tehaleh sits right now. One of my very best friends lived down the road. His name was Josh Krantz, and we played in mud puddles together when we were little. So, yeah, so really, I mean, you know, the Tehaleh area is very near and dear to my heart. I've been doing real estate for the last 30 or so years. That's why I have no hair. And again, I think what's really important is to make sure that you have accurate information that you can use to make informed decisions that are good for you. So that's the whole intent. We're not going to here to sell you anything. There's no pitch. This is just great information that you can use to help you make good decisions in your community. So we have an official slide deck prepared for you. So we're going to get into that. But really, this is going to be a group discussion. And feel free to ask any questions. Just go ahead and use your chat. You'll see that down along your right-hand side. Feel free to type any questions that you have. We'll do our very best to answer those. So I'm going to start this presentation. And again, here's a beautiful slide of Tehaleh. What's so great, especially in the summertime, is we get a chance to come home to that, and that's pretty cool. So the intention of this meeting really is to provide information to the community of Tehaleh, and really communicate the facts about what's happening in real estate, because that happens to be what we work with every day. And we're going to talk specifically about what's going on with the home centers and building now that COVID is now in phase 2. Hopefully we'll be approaching phase 3 and possibly phase 4, depending on what school and hopefully Seahawks season brings for us. Then we're going to talk about just the home sales data considerations there as well. We're going to talk about a very interesting trend that's happening in Tehaleh. I think both good and bad, depending on what side of the buy-sell you are. And then investor activity that's happening. I think there's some real opportunities for people that own real estate currently in Tehaleh, or people that are potentially interested. And so we're going to talk about that. And then there's some really interesting information too about the long-term community plan. And I think that's going to dovetail into some of the discussion about specifically what's happening in Tehaleh and potentially some opportunity again. So we've already done information, or we've already done introductions. David and Karen, you'll get to know them throughout this presentation. Just great people. The coolest part about it is they literally walk the trails. In fact, they've put together a program. If you go to YouTube, it's called Trail Talk. tons of fun, and no doubt you walk the same trails. And so if you see them on the sidewalk or on the trail, actually, just say hi, as long as you stay 6 feet apart. So
we just did one with Christina's Critter Care and Pet Resort that's opening up. So the number one question we get from our clients that are interested in moving here is, where do I take my dog? Where's the pet grooming at? Where's the pet sitter at? And boom, right there she was. So Karen did a great Tehaleh Trail talk with her. You got to check that out.
Nice, yeah. So you can visit that on YouTube, and definitely some good stuff there. All right. So then, of course, you've met Keith. Keith, super cool guy. Does a ton of mortgage lending, and why I think that's important is because a lot of people have questions about what's going on with interest rates, and is now a great time to buy or time to refinance. And Keith is just an expert. Of course, also born and raised here in the great state of Washington. I'm Jody, again, born and raised in this area, born in Puyallup in the shadow of the fairgrounds, and born and raised in the Bonney Lake, Sumner, and Buckley area. I'm happy to say that I hold second place in the Buckley Loggers Rodeo arm wrestling competition. And I'm very, very quite proud of that. Still looking for the person who beat me. But I'm not damaged over that. I still have my second place trophy. My wife wants me to get rid of it. I just can't seem to part with it. So, and by the way, I happen to know, I think, a fair amount about real estate, and I bought and sold, owned a real estate brokerage, continued to work in both commercial and residential real estate. Quite frankly, I love it. And I'm here to share the knowledge that I have with you about that. The disclaimer is, hey, we are not attorneys. We are not accountants. We know a lot about real estate. We know a lot about this area, but really this is general information. You need to go out and make your own, of course, informed decisions. And I encourage you to really make sure that you have a wide variety of sources. And this is one of them. If you have specific real estate questions, talk to your real estate agent. And, Dave and Karen are fantastic resources for that. Same with Keith. You should talk with your lenders. These are the experts. This presentation really is to give you an overview, but also what we feel is very accurate information as well. So let's get right into it. So as you know, Tehaleh is made up of a large number of different builders. And for you as homeowners and property owners there, that's good news, bad news, right? Good news is you know where they are, and they're still building in your community. So if you have any items, you can actually go and talk to them about it. Say, hey, we need to get this thing fixed. Bad news is that they're actually continuing to build, and therefore, if you're interested at some point in selling your property, they may be competing with you for that. And then also, depending at the rate that they're building, they also could be manipulating the market a little bit. And so here's the balance, right? The balance is we've just plain lost 90 to 120 days. That's just all there is in the market, right? And each one of these companies has provided an economic forecast for their owners or their shareholders that says, hey, this is what we think we're going to do. This is how much money we believe we're going to make. And the way that they make their money is by selling homes. And if they're not selling homes, then they're not bringing that revenue in. And so they're willing to potentially take lower margins in order to get the overall dollar volume up, because it's easier to say, hey, listen, we have the sales, but our cost of sales was just much higher because we had to give concessions. Well, what that does is that potentially lowers the overall then value of that market. And so we're going to talk a little bit about the trends, because Tehaleh is still very, very strong, and the trend is going up, but it's because there's a supply and demand issue. There's still a huge amount of demand, and the supply is basically, stayed fairly even. We'll go through some of that as well. So keep that in mind as we're going through this presentation. So we're not going to bore you with a bunch of facts and figures, but I do think it's important that you do know. And we're going to explain a little bit again, I guess, about supply and demand. And I promise this will only go about 45 seconds. So hang in there with me. The real key number is if we take a look at the new listings that have happened through May year to date, so that's 5 months, it's down over 13%. So what that means is that there are less people that are listing their homes for sale. And so if you have if you have the same amount or more people entering in the market and you have 20% less inventory or 13% less inventory, what that means is you actually potentially can get a higher price for your home because there's limited supply. So here's a great opportunity. So if you're interested in selling your property, it's probably a great time because you don't have that same competition. If all of a sudden we're seeing the percentage changes, there's 20% more, then you can expect that your home prices are actually going to go down because there's just much more of a supply than there are a demand. Now, what's causing a demand maybe shortage or demand staying even? Well, interest rates are a fantastic factor right now in making sure that there's an active buyer community. But there's still a lot of people that are kind of on the sidelines because of the uncertainty of what's happening in the economy. So this is, again, a very, very unique time that if you are interested in selling, it probably is a really good time to do that. But what we're going to see is we're going to see more properties coming on the market because the selling season used to be like in the spring, right? That was like the kickoff. In fact, more than half the homes in America are sold during this spring buying season. Well, what's happening is that spring season is just simply moving now to the summer season. And we're really starting to see that heat up. So there's really a pocket of opportunity. And I think as we're emerging, phase 2 to phase 3 and ultimately phase 4, we're going to really see that break open. And we'll talk a little bit later on about what that means specifically for you. Last year, there was about 350 properties that were sold in the Tehaleh area. 90 days ago, there was 42 properties that actually were for sale. And then properties currently for sale, there's 40 of them. A little bit different scale on the model. I apologize for this. But this is where, if you're interested in selling your property, this is where your competition is located. So most likely, you know this in the roads there in Tehaleh, and you can see there's actually a large or a high concentration of these new construction that are being listed that may actually not be finished as well. So you can see these are existing homes, and there's a real benefit, I think, to having an existing home, for sale, because number one, you don't have to wait. Number two, you know exactly what it is you're going to get. Number three, you've probably dealt with all the nail pops and the seams and, all the things that should have been connected but weren't connected, right? You've kind of worked the bugs out, and people like that. Maybe you've already done, window coverings, those things. And so I think there's just a lot of real benefit to that. Now, other people will say, oh, no, well, we don't want to live in a house that has been lived in. Well, I think there's a case actually to be made. And again, Karen and David can really speak to that, I think, as well. So David, I mean, you've put together kind of this checklist, preparing your home for sale. Like, give me your opinion on that.
Well, a lot of our clients are coming to us and just going, okay, I'm ready to take advantage of this, but I've lived in my house for a while and understand the market dynamics. What's the process of getting, the home listed? So we put together this 30-day guide that's going to help you from day 1 to day 30, get your house ready in 30 days. And 3 of the most important things is simply getting your house decluttered and ready to sell. It's starting to pack. You're going to move, so start to pack, get things out of the house, and make it presentable. And at the same time, you want to, do some sprucing up of the landscaping, but then decide what you're going to keep and what you're not going to keep. It's really a great step-by-step guide to help you figure out what it is that's most important to you to get your house ready. And it's important to have that process in place, and a plan in place. Just like our strategy sessions that we have with our clients, it's all part of that. Your house is just as important as your budget, and what area you want to look in, what the price of your home is going to be, in the whole process. So.
Yeah, and by the way, right, whether you want to sell your home or not, it really doesn't matter. the checklist is actually great because, you know, sometimes it's nice just to do spring and now summer cleaning to make sure it's all good too. You know, so what I'll do is this file is actually available. I just actually shared it. So you'll see that on your screen. You can go ahead and click on it, download it. And most likely what we'll do is we will have that available, you know, for you as well. We'll just send that out to you. Yeah, hopefully you've had a chance to download it. If not, we will, you know, make sure that that gets out to you as well. So we're going to go back to our presentation here. So properties that are currently for sale, sales by month, you can see that the trend actually is starting to edge down a little bit. Well, why? It's because, again, we haven't been able to show homes. You know, we haven't been able to do the things that we've needed to do as real estate professionals. But as you can still see, the median price is continuing to rise. And that actually has not changed. And the reason why it hasn't changed is if all of a sudden you saw a large number of listings that were going on the market, you know, then you would see prices kind of flattening, but that's actually not the case. We still continue to see really, really good appreciation in Tehaleh, and you'll continue to see that appreciation as well. Now, there's an overall plan that is, you know, that the Tehaleh is involved in, and I mean, and it's considerable. And I think one of the things that I want to speak to, you know, in this session is really the opportunity. So for those of you that currently own homes in Tehaleh, you know, you also may want to consider hanging on to them as well. In fact, you actually may want to consider maybe buying another one. So depending on your family situation, or potentially, again, depending on where you are, you know, where you're investing. And again, remember, we're not accountants. This is not stock advice. This is any of that. We have no idea what the future could hold. But what we do know is we do know that there is a significant plan that's in place that my belief is that you probably could capitalize on as well. So to kind of talk just a little bit about maybe investor activity, we've seen in other areas, investors come in and buy entire, you know, streets of homes and simply use them for rentals. Now, we know that there's restrictions, of course, in Tehaleh about that. There's not restrictions, though, in other areas like Trilogy, and potentially, you know, maybe there's this new condo project. You know, Karen or David, can you expand on that a little bit of what's happening, you know, specifically in the market in those areas?
Yeah, I think Karen can speak to the types of homes that are available now. Most people think that a Tehaleh is unapproachable. Everything is $600,000, huge 3,000 square foot homes, but it's quite the opposite.
Yeah.
You know, when we moved here, we actually rented while our house was being built in Trilogy. So it was really cool because we were on site and we could just walk up and watch our house being built every day. And David did this really cool, you know, video where he would, you know, take our house and what it looked like on day 1, day 30, and day 60. And so I think that's one really nice thing about living here is if you did buy a new construction, we could be, you know, monitoring the progress of your home and seeing what it looks like. We have a lot of residents that move from California to and out of state. So, you know, it's just good to have somebody's eyes, you know, watching your project as well. But there are a couple of builders that are building cottages here that are starting in the low 400s. And they're already selling those, you know, I believe they're supposed to be finished this fall. And then there are some condos also, or townhomes that are being built that are starting in the low 300s. So some really affordable options are going to be available really shortly here. Not only that, but of course we talked, I think last time, about the Wesley assisted living home that's also being built. So, and that's come very far. I think it's supposed to be ready next June of next year. So it's a great place to live, and you know, come join us.
Yeah. Well, and I think, you know, what's really interesting about the whole concept of Tehaleh, and why I think, quite frankly, it's brilliant, it's why people go to McDonald's in China. It's because they know exactly how the Big Mac's going to taste, right? And they got used to the taste of the Big Mac. And how is Tehaleh the Big Mac? Well, you get very comfortable being in a community. You know the trails, you know the restaurants, you know the coffee shops. And so think about it in terms of the cycle of home ownership is one where you purchase a property. Maybe you're, just starting a family or whatever that may be. You raise your children, all of a sudden your house becomes too big because they've moved out. You then decide, hey, I want a smaller place. Maybe I want a single level. And then ultimately, as you advance, you may say, hey, you know what? I'm interested maybe in some other types of care, maybe longer term care. And it's a very, very nice transition, literally over generations. Yeah. And I think the generational living concept right now is huge. And so purely from an investment perspective, two things I think that were really key about what Karen said. Number one, there is a huge opportunity for someone to have a rental in the area that you can use as a 6-month, 9-month, year-long rental, depending on what the build cycle is going to be for these homes. Now, the other thing is that because someone has the ability to purchase a home, most likely they're going to be pretty good renters. And the other nice part about it is where they live. So if for some reason you have an issue with rent, and also they're going to ultimately end up being your neighbors. Oh, and also you most likely will also get referrals from real estate agents such as David and Karen and lenders like Keith and maybe even the home centers as well. So it's just it could be a really good time to take a look at the possibility. And so I would encourage you to reach out to David, to Karen, to Keith, because what you're going to want to figure out is what's the purchase price, what's the rent in that particular area, and then what would be your mortgage on those things. And what you want is, of course, you want to make sure that you have a cushion in there. It's called a cash flow cushion. But boy, I'll tell you, not only if you can just even break even on that payment, have a little bit of cash flow cushion, as we saw by the graphs, there's some considerable equity that's being built literally every month in Tehaleh. And it's going to continue to stay strong as we've seen. And again, that we can't predict what the future, all we can do is look at the trends as they've been happening. So really a great opportunity for that too. So going back to this master plan, as Karen had brought out, there's just a tremendous amount of opportunity. So as we had in our previous discussion, the spring selling season is just simply moving. What normally was March through June is actually now going to be most likely July or August through September or October. So this is a prime opportunity, and again, it's, I think, going to be the people who get in soon that are going to be able to take advantage of that as well. There's a great article. This happened to be from Fox Business. This says, real estate will boom once coronavirus threat is gone. Go ahead and put your house on the market. And what's interesting about it is that listings were significantly down, and the people who had their homes on the market, 30 to 60 days ago actually did really well because there was a gross amount of inventory. I think it was over 26 to 28% that were pulled off the market. Now we're seeing those listings come back. But still a great time if you're a seller. And also, too, by the way, it's a good time if you're a buyer, too, because conversely, there are real estate agents that potentially have not priced their homes properly because they want to find a buyer, for them. And they're pricing them very too low. So that's also why it's really, really important to make sure that you're working with a real estate professional that, always has your best interest in mind, but also is competent and knowledgeable as well. So we do see, even though we have large amounts of layoffs, we have record unemployment, we still are going to see a strong market in real estate. And so, we're going to see property values continue to rise. Equity is going to be in there. In fact, right now, we have record low interest rates. I've been in real estate a long time, and I have never seen rates the way they are right now. So whether you're interested in buying, whether you're interested in selling, whether you're interested in accessing the capital that you have in your home to potentially buy an investment property in Tehaleh. I mean, Keith, maybe you can just give us, kind of the brief rundown on, I mean, you've been in this business a long time. Now's the time, quite frankly, to call you and say, hey, if you're deciding to stay, I need to refinance my mortgage. And if you're interested in potentially going or buying something else in Tehaleh, you should call, Karen and David. But yeah, tell us about that. I think you're on mute there, Keith. Yeah.
Okay,
right.
you got me. Sorry. Quite frankly, it's a rare time. Money is actually is easy to buy. I mean, easy to get. So when money comes cheap, when it comes to borrowing and things of that nature, it's definitely time to look at your current situation. There's a lot of people out there that have interest rates that are over 4, that which used to be great, but now that same person can have interest rates just over 3, and I've seen some even lower than 3%. So now is a time, if you have an opportunity, to definitely get a hold of a professional like myself. And then again, for you that are thinking about putting your houses on the market, it doesn't cost a lot of money to borrow. That means that you have more eyes on your property. There's more buying power out there. People that may not have been able to afford a house before, or that dream home, now, because of where interest rates are, it's right there for the taking. So yeah, very interesting time. And we're not talking about everyone that's got an 800 score. We're talking people all the way down in the mid 600s getting rates below 4%. So this is a very, very interesting time indeed.
Yeah, no doubt. So really, I mean, fantastic time for real estate. No doubt at all, whether you're a buyer or a seller, or you're just interested in accessing your equity, paying off some credit cards, doing whatever you need to do. I mean, yeah, when money is cheap, boy, now's the time to, consolidate that as well. What's interesting about it is that mortgage rates actually are likely to drop even more. Now, we've already seen that, but what's interesting is that in every recession, we see interest rates continuing to drop. So now is the time really to, to take advantage of that. And again, just like we're seeing, refinances are going to continue to increase as well. So if you have those questions, definitely contact Keith. We'll make sure, of course, that you get his number as well. And then also, if you're interested in having a conversation about what to do with your real estate or just what's happening, I mean, let David and Karen buy a cup of coffee. I mean, put it on them. And especially when things start opening back up again, as far as the restaurants go, or you can now dial for an appointment, do that. Take them up on it. I mean, free cup of coffee. I mean, who can beat that?
I see some of our neighbors are on here, and we see them down at the post, which is Cafe d'Arte is there, and we're excited to chat with our neighbors, buy a cup of coffee. We're really excited to have hosted, to have Jody here today, and we're glad to follow up with you with any questions you might have, about living here or about today's presentation.
Yeah. So hopefully you've gotten some valuable information from the presentation. We're going to continue to do these community meetings, and we're going to continue to update you on what's happening in real estate. So hopefully you'll have an opportunity, when you're just walking along the trails, or if you see David and Karen in the community, just come up and say hi. In fact, I hear that David actually may play some mean music here as well.
Yes.
I haven't sampled that personally, but I just hear, based upon recommendations.
The COVID has brought out the artist in me, I guess. And we got a group of guys to get together, just like the old days. The garage band has got back together, so we're getting the band back together. But we enjoyed doing that. So yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt. So again, we look forward to actually, seeing you on the trails. Please do check out Trail Talk. Reach out to Keith as well. Anything that has to do with money, he really is brilliant at it. And what I, again, just love about Dave and Karen too, is that they are 100% vested in the community. In fact, they've actually created what I think is just super cool. I'll let them share a little bit about it, because there's It's been a high demand item. A lot of people talking about it. So yeah, I don't know, David Care, if you want to actually let the official cat out of the bag, and no cats were harmed in making that comment.
Hey, you know what? When we first came here, we didn't know how to say Tehaleh. We were like Tahiti, Tahada. We couldn't figure it out. So we thought, what better way to give a gift to our neighbors and anybody that lives in Tehaleh? Just a little bit of fun at other people at how they can pronounce it, and just kind of let them know how it's actually pronounced. Yeah. And we put together this T-shirt. We think our friends and neighbors just love it, and it's a lot of fun and something that we're happy to give to our neighbors for free. Just message us, and we'll send you out one.
Yeah, so I think it's super cool, right? Limited edition. You maybe have David and his garage band sign it for you. I'd recommend that. Exactly. Because that could go. that could go gold pretty soon. You never know, or maybe not. We don't know.
Only talk to your wife about decluttering your.
Yeah. No, that's exactly right. Well, thank you very much for your time. Really genuinely appreciate it. Hopefully you did receive some great value. If you have any questions whatsoever, we'll make sure that we get an email out to you as well, maybe a little quick video from time to time to make sure that we keep in touch. So again, we'll look forward to connecting with you at our next community meeting. See ya.
Thanks.
Yep. Bye.